So the mail issue in Canada is rearing up again. The last government put a plan in place to remove home delivery. That's the mail in your box thing that's standard in the industrial world, right? They wanted to move to a system of community mailboxes like you'd see in a rural subdevelopment. So that the mail person would come and just drop it off in the box, and then people would come from around and pick it up and then disperse. There was a lot of backlash to this. The truth is that it was mostly just resistance to change. Um, but if you look at the plan carefully, it didn't. It wasn't very smart. Okay, they claimed that they needed to change the system because there was cost overruns and etc. Like they couldn't. There's a crown corporation in Canada called Canada Post, which means it's a government run. Um, it's not technically a monopoly, but it operates more or less as one. Um, I mean, it depends, right? On home delivery, it's a monopoly, which is like, why are you competing? It would be pretty stupid to have a market for mail delivery, right? The kind of thing that there's no benefit to that other than gouging consumers, right? Um, so I mean, Canada Post it, but I mean, commercial delivery. There's a market for that. So we have FedEx and stuff like that, right? Um, but Canada Post it. So well, I mean, it's I actually, you know what? I don't know if it's true. Did did you guys privatize your mail service? And I say this like I'm talking to Americans because it's the internet. I've been on the internet a long time, and I've been talking to Americans on the internet a long time. Whenever I'm on the internet, it's always I'm talking to Americans. I don't know. It's just well, I mean, I guess there's 30 million Canadians and 500 million Americans, so you know. I think 500 is a bit of an exaggeration. I don't know the population of the United States. I never have. I always get it screwed up. Um, I know I've been way off at times. Like I've never. It's well, I don't really have an intuitive way to grasp it, right? I don't live in your country, um, but that's a number I often I usually overestimate it. I usually think that there's far more than there are. But yeah, so Canada Post, the idea is to drop it off so that and what they claimed was that they would save money this way. But if you look at this, like they're not gonna. The cost of transferring the system is going to far outstrip costs that they're going to gain for like decades, right? It's going to take forever to make up the costs to switch over. Because when you think about it, what's the difference? Either the mail person can park at the corner and, spend a few minutes walking around the block, or the mail person can stop once and then drop it off there and then drive to the like it does not at all strike me as a cost saving mechanism. This is the problem with the Conservative Party and the Conservative Party's fiscal conservatism. They do this over and over again. They bring in these systems that are designed to reduce costs, or so they claim, and then it ends up costing, 10 times as much. Sometimes, it's obviously it's malicious, right? So when they brought in a market for energy, that was, and then they told us it was going to reduce energy costs. I mean, a lot of people fell for that. But I mean, it was obvious that wasn't going to happen, right? Because markets don't reduce costs. Generally, markets increase costs. Um, and sure enough, we've had the price of electricity it's growing out of control. And there's still people that want to blame it on these green procurement programs when, I mean, that wouldn't have been an issue in the first place had the government before that not privatized the system, right? Um, and that happens over and over again with the conservatives. They, like I say, they tell you they're doing things to save money, when everybody, including them, know that it's going to cost more money, and they're really working for the business interests that are going to make a profit off of it, right? This may be a little. I mean, I don't. They weren't in power long enough, I guess, to watch the situation unfold, right? Maybe had it unfolded, we would have started to see, interest come in and start scooping things up. But I think that this is actually just an example of bad management. It was just mismanaged, right? But so I mean, that was kind of my pushback on it. But you also had, like I said, there's just a resistance to change. You had, older people that don't want to walk down, in the winter to get their mail, break their hip kind of thing, which is if you're an old person, that's a valid concern, right? And you had union pushback saying that they were going to, it was going to reduce, the amount of hours that people had. Um, I'd really push back against that though too, right? Because this is not meaningful work. This is somebody that walks around from door to door and dropping off letters. Like, this is the kind of thing that we should have robots doing. That person is not using their faculties to their maximum ability. That person is a slave to the division of labor. That job should be abolished. Nobody should have to walk from door to door and drop off mail. It's a horrible way to live. Horrible existence. And like I say, it's really sad that people aren't able to see that for what it is, right? People are so lost they can't see themselves in the mirror, right? So now the union is pushing back, and we're gonna. This was something that we saw develop near the end of the last government's mandate. Um, the new government was a little bit ambiguous about what they wanted. I didn't really consider this a serious election issue. You know, um, I thought that what they were bringing in was stupid, but I mean, I'm really not in favor of maintaining mail delivery at all. I'm not concerned about the mail and whether it exists or not. I get two kinds of mail. I get stuff from the government and flyers. Almost everything I get from the government could be digitized, and I don't care at all about the flyers. It would be great if they stopped delivering flyers. The mail system absolutely needs to adjust to the digital world. What these people do is an anachronism. Okay? My criticism of the previous government on the mail issue was that they weren't going far enough and they were botching the implementation. I don't even need to look at the accounting to know ahead of time that building community mailboxes is actually what's going to increase costs. So I'm not going to get upset if this shuts down. Rather, I'd request that they hurry up in digitizing. Lots of people don't recycle. It creates huge amounts of waste for no good reason. People look at the flyers, they throw it in the garbage. In fact, I would support bylaws that outlaw flyering. Like I say, my experience with the mail is that I deal with governments and flyers. I would rather the flyers did not exist at all. And then, I could put a sign up that doesn't solve anything. In fact, I'd rather take it because at least I know I'm recycling it. The guy next door might not recycle it. Might just throw it in the garbage. At least if you give it to me, I'm putting it in the recycle bin, right? Give me all your stupid flyers. I'll put them all in the recycle bin. But that, I mean, like, the solution to flyering is just to stop doing it. And if you need a law, I mean, people should have enough, decency and sense to realize that this is not a good thing to do, right? Again, it's very sad that we might have to pass a law that outlaws it, and that people just don't stop doing it. But if people are going to do it, they should be doing it, independent of the postal system. Hire a teenager to do it. That's the way you poster. Think about it. These people are adults. They're being paid, union wages to drop off pizza flyers. What absurdity. Nobody wants them. If I want a pizza, I don't go and look at the flyers. You know what I do if I want a pizza? I go on the internet and I look to see what the closest pizza places are. In fact, I may even order it on the internet. A flyer? It's 2016. You want me to read a pizza flyer? What century are you in? The other thing I deal with is government, and like I said, the government could digitize. It would probably be a lot better if government would digitize, right? I mean, they send me all kinds of stuff in the mail that probably shouldn't be. I mean, if it was intercepted, I'd be losing um, sensitivity, right? And I mean, people drop it in my mailbox, right? Anybody can go in your mailbox. It would be an increase in security to digitize it, and you'd save so much paper. You'd save so much on bureaucracy, so much on administrative costs. And you'd free up all of these people, from the monotony of office work. Those are jobs that no human should have to do. We have the technology, let's use it. You know? Let's not look backwards, let's move forwards quickly. Discard the past, fuck the past, right? There is, of course, another use for the mail. I don't really use it at all. I mean, I've had the odd thing mailed to me, right? If I get some new headphone cables, that will get mailed to me. And I don't. I don't mind seeing that privatized. That's well, it's private business. That's if we're going to have private, if we're going to live in a system of market exchange, then that's the kind of thing that should be done freely, right? I don't have an issue with that. So I mean, I don't have any attachment to this. In fact, I'd like to see it gone. And all of the arguments that you hear from the so-called left are really disappointing. Okay? A real leftist should look at the situation and say that we have the opportunity to use technology to emancipate people from monotonous labor. There's no reason to uphold the status quo. There's no reason to fight for people's jobs. You've lost the plot. The left doesn't fight for higher wages in a union-organized workplace. It argues for the collapse of the division of labor, for freedom, for the abolishment of monotonous labor. That's communism. Don't miss the point, guys.